Well, howdy there, y'all. Yamasaki here. Welcome back to the channel. And today is officially part 1 of the 1982 Toyota 4x4 Trekker pickup restoration. So stay tuned. So it's actually been a good couple of weeks since I first got the old Trekker up and running, and I figured after I got it running properly, which I have, and I'll go over that in a little bit, and I do apologize, it is a little windy, so I'll try and speak up a little bit, but I figured after I got it running I should do some other work to it, possibly get it roadworthy enough to where I can drive it around town, you know. And a good little bit has happened. Where to start? Let's start with the rims, because that's what's hindering me from actually moving this thing. You see, I got these chrome rims on it, but a long time ago I bought some nice lug nuts for them, some nice red ones. They're the same as what's on my 80, except they're just chromed red, so there's no difference. And I figured it'd look better since the rims are original chrome, might have a little bit of differentiation, you know. And so I took the rims off, I painted the back brake drums. I'm doing the same to the front here. It's a little more complicated because I have to take the hub lock assembly out because I want to paint those separately, leave this shiny. I still have these to deal with. I don't know if I'm going to leave them or take them off yet. Still working on it, but I had enough lug nuts just to do this side, and I have 2 left over, so I have to order another kit of these. Got this one back in. I painted all these bolts and everything. It's not tightened up, but it's snugged up nonetheless. However, on the other side, when I was doing the same procedure on the other front side here, I'm not going to take the bag off, but in here there is a retaining C-clip that keeps your axle from sliding back and forth. Somehow when I took this hub lock assembly out, it popped out. I can actually show you that right over here. There it is in a bag. I don't have the right tool to put it on because it keeps slipping off, because if you put pressure on that axle it's just going to keep slipping, and that recess that clip is supposed to go in won't appear until that axle is pulled back out. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. You need a special pair of flat-tipped spreader pliers and you'll be able to get it. So that's what I've been doing on the rims. So I can't move this thing yet until I can get the other wheel on and get the assembly all put back together and that clip undone. I haven't done much to the inside. I need to find a pin here. Didn't realize I was missing that, but then again, this is not the original door and I never installed it. It's just that little retaining pin that holds this guy in place here so your door doesn't go all the way open and, you know, screw stuff up over here. Oh, that's lovely. I shoved that in there too far and now it great. Well, I have to take this off anyway, so yeah, that's a problem for another day. But the next step is a windshield, because I believe someone shot this when it was in our backyard, which is just lovely. Like I said, this is the worst windshield we have out of every vehicle here. So yeah, I haven't done much in here. It's all the same. Have that propped open to kind of keep air flowing in here and all that. I ordered a new mirror assembly off of eBay. This one's not in bad shape. It's just so loose because all the screws are gone. When I got the new assembly today, the whole glass was broke out, so it was pretty much garbage, so had to throw that away. That was about $30 down the drain, so thanks a lot. Oh, that's nice. Selling products that break upon shipping, that's how you fix things. Anyway, you can probably already notice that the front end is a little bit different. I have the valance off. There wasn't ever a bumper, but it actually has some headlight bezels now, some shrouds or shields, whatever you want to call them. was able to bend this back. You can kind of see where it was bending, but took a big old wrench and bent back nice and straight. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I ordered some round headlights, and the thing is, 82 they switched over to the square headlights. I don't know if they continued to make the circular ones or not, but the mounting's different. And there's a couple guys out there that have done some YouTube videos on this, but there's an original square mount there, right there, right there, and where's that other guy? Right there. That's originally where the square ones would mount. The circular ones mount there, there, and down here. And luckily, Toyota saved the original holes so you can put them in. The only problem is, if you plan on installing these guys, you're going to have to take your fender off. Regardless, it looks like you have to do it with the square ones too. You have to take your fender off to get in here, to get behind and do your hardware. Now, originally, what Toyota did is they would have had welded nuts on the other side for the circular ones. Same deal for the square ones, you can see right there. But since they're not original, well, you kind of got to jimmy it a little bit. Another problem I'm running into, and what I discovered, is from 1979 to 1981, most Toyota pickups were the same. Bumper-wise, electrical-wise, wiring harness-wise, but in 82, which is what this is, they changed some things. In 82, they changed the style of bumpers to the more common ones you find on the second-gen pickups, where they have that plastic that goes over. On the original first-generation pickups, the early ones, the bumper goes all the way across around with some metal. And I actually bought a reproduction. It's not the greatest, but I'm going to have to make it work regardless because it's what I got. But that bracket is also bent, so I'm going to have to do some work on that, and I'll show you guys that. But like I was saying, in 82 they changed some things. In 81, the SR5 wiring harness, which is what my pickup has in there, had some round or some square, mainly had square connectors. But in 82 they changed to some circular ones like these. And I plan on making these circular. So I have these shrouds here from the 81 pickup that my engine and transmission came out of. And as you can see, there is a square one. So that just won't work. You can't connect circle to a square. Here is one that actually fits. It's just a part of a shroud, but that's the connector I need. So I'm wondering if I can find a square piece and somehow solder these connectors together, an adapter, make an adapter. So I'm going to have to figure that out. That kind of sucks. So even though all these pickups are mainly the same, they did change some things, in fact, which is kind of unfortunate when you're trying to do stuff like this. I've got some new reflectors that are for 82s, which is good. So the circular ones here, see, they also changed them for the reflectors on the fenders, you know, where they go right there, right there. But I ordered some new reflector lights, and they actually come with the right connectors, so that's good. You can probably also see that I did some hood work. I sanded this down and gave it another paint job. I'm going to go with a navy blue on this pickup with some red pinstriping in certain spots and stuff like that, but that's for later down the road. But this hood here I did try and straighten out, but unfortunately, as you can see, the body line actually kind of curves a little bit. But this hood is now somehow flattened, and I actually made it worse. I can only open it up about that much before it starts to do its dipshittery. Moving on over here for a minute. Here is the good fender that I'm putting on that side. Everything seems to line up and everything. Unfortunately, we did have some damage over here. You can kind of just barely see. It was starting to rust. And originally I cut out a piece. I cut out the rust. I was going to try and do some of my first body work ever. Ended up failing terribly, so I had to get good old dad in the equation, and he helped me out. What we ended up doing is I cut a piece out of the original Trekker fender that was wrecked, because as you guys remember, it was kind of bent up over there. And I was trying to weld it, and it was just burning through the metal, because this stuff's 20 gauge. It's not 18 or 16 or nothing like that. Nothing heavy duty like that. So what we ended up doing is my dad took a piece of 16 gauge steel and kind of looped it up in there, because you can't go underneath anything because they rolled this metal, so it was nothing but an edge. So he tack welded all the corners, and I just took some good old JB weld and I filled it in, and it doesn't look any worse than other nicks and dings that are on this fender. So I think I did pretty good for a body repair right there. You know, it's not perfect, but there's no rust anymore, and I primed in there, got all the rust out with a wire wheel. It's good to go. It is good to go. And I had to take the other fender off, of course, because of that headlight assembly right there. There's a big gaping hole in it from the old antenna, so hopefully I can remedy that somehow, find an antenna big enough to cover up that hole, otherwise that's not going to be very good. All the hardware for the fenders and you know, the plastic skirting that goes underneath and such are all over here. I painted some, cleaned them up and everything. There is the other hub locking assembly right there. Still have to put it on, but you know, as I said, waiting on that. What else can I tell you guys? Well, I think it's time I show you guys the engine bay. Okay, a billion years later after battling that hood, damn, that thing's a bitch. Anyway, here is the old 22R double timing chain engine that they put in this Trekker. As you can see, it is way different from when you guys last saw it. You guys have seen the Weber carburetor, but I didn't have the air filter on. Unfortunately, I only could put 3 mounting bolts, or machine screws, whatever you want to call them, on the air filter, because the back, or the front right hole, for some reason, I couldn't get a screw in. But the other ones are holding fine. It's on there, so we're not going to worry about it. I didn't do much. I still have to do some coolant work. I got to drain it, replace this hose, put a new thermostat in, put a new temp sensor in. Those are like the last parts I really need to put in here. Everything else seems good to go. I took a 20R head because it was just cleaner than this one. Here's the original. Look how freaking dirty that thing is. It was just quick and easy. I cleaned it, painted it a nice Chevy engine orange, because I think engines that have Chevy engine orange are a nice bright color. I always think they're pretty. Got some breathers put on there. Now, if you guys have seen the last video, which I'll leave a link down in the description below if you guys want to go check it out, this thing was only running on 3 cylinders. It had a bad misfire, and it sounded like it was knocking horribly. Well, I solved that issue. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just had to do a little bit of ignition upgrades. Put some new spark plugs in there. Some nice pretty blue spark plug wires. Same that I have on my truck. I just think they give it a little bit more character. And then I replaced the cap on the distributor right there. I was going to replace the rotor, but I don't think there's really a need to, since it's running so well. And that cleared it up just fine. Just fine. So, yeah, I had to take the windshield wiper fluid reservoir and overflow tank for the radiator out, because I unfortunately found out that it is clean busted through, and it always gets fragile on these lids. They always crack like this. So yeah, if anybody has one of those, let me know. I'm on the search for one. What else? There's not much I can show you guys in here other than, you know, the shiny new good stuff. I still lost my clutch fluid reservoir cap, so ordered a new one of those. That's coming. I got my bracketry in. I had to do a little bit of modifying because I didn't realize that the hole was down there, but I couldn't get the J actually down in there with the battery in there, so I just ended up modifying. Luckily it came in a pack of 2, but I cut it down and kind of bent it back a little bit more, and it doesn't go in that hole, but it's on the metal there, and I don't clamp it down terribly tight, you know. Just got to be snug so that battery doesn't move around. So that's solved. Had to drill a hole in that battery tray hold down. Same as my truck in there. So that was no biggie. Oh, what else? I need to take the skid plate off, get that more clean and everything. Probably paint it. I'm going to paint the frame gray and of course undercoat it and the fiberglass, repair the fiberglass, all that good stuff. I also have the windshield wipers right there and right there. Getting those painted, took those off. Thought it was a good idea, considering they're just right there and you can pop them off. Righto, so it's the next day and just got a little too dark to do some filming last night, so had to start again today. And figured I'd show you guys the reproduction bumper that I got. It's actually pretty decent for what I pay for this, $70, $80, something like that. It's got the basic shape, and it is for the earlier models. Because like I said, these curve around and have the full sheet metal on the sides. The only issue is my bumper bracket. I think I've mentioned that on the passenger side is bent up just a little bit. So when these are lined up, these ones all the way down here are about 2 inches or so away from the actual bracket holes. Another issue is, and this might have to do with alignment too or something, I'm not sure. So when I line these holes up, this hole no longer lines up with the bracket, with the hole on the bracket. And then another interesting thing is, why does this thing have to keep moving? Another interesting thing is on my truck with the original bumper, it actually has a hole up top here. The bracket also bolts up right there. But as you can see, those are non-existent. So I don't know what's going on with that. But it's actually a pretty decent bumper. I got some blinkers coming in and all that, so it should work. It might be ugly because we might have to modify it in ways that I don't want, but it's going to be better than building a custom one, and hell, I wouldn't even be able to find an original one at this point, especially a rear. Those things are like diamonds in the rough. I figured I'd show you guys the front valance here before I move on to the truck a little bit more, because I got a little bit more work done on it today. This valance was a little bit beat up, so I've done my best to hammer out the dings and stuff. It was really bent up here, and you can still kind of see it's still flat, which kind of sucks. This part's flaring out more than that, so I'm doing my best to hammer that out. Hammering out all the, spots here. Just, it's not going to be perfect because it's so battered up, but it's going to look way better than, just flaying about randomly with lumps and humps and all that crap. So there's that. So let's go over to the truck now. And I did the same procedure here that I did on my truck. As you guys know, my truck, the cab was completely off when I got it. So it allowed me to do some more delicate, fine work. But since I had to take the fenders off, it was actually a great time to do some caulking. See, on these old pickups, they used caulking to seal up all the seams and the body panels and everything. And here's some original stuff right here. When that stuff gets to be 40 years old, it starts to crack and really just crumble apart. So what you got to do is you got to just chisel it out. It comes out fairly easily. And then you got to take some acrylic caulk, as they call it, and just put it in those seams, just like here. Did it all up here. Nice big glob there. Sealed it down here. And then I did the same thing on the other side here. Same deal. Right there. It's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, so that's all done. I'm sure there's other spots I could do, but this stuff isn't cracking as bad, as you can see. So I'm going to leave it. It's doing its job still. Moving on to the engine bay, there's a little bit more work that I did. When I was doing my headlights the other day, I was also putting in some new wire harness straps. One there, over to the other side, one there. And then today I just got done fiddle-diddling with the harness a little bit. Had to put one there, that's barely holding because the wiring is so fat. and then another one right there. And it's just to keep your wiring harness in place and not be, you know, splayed about and all that. Again, my wiring harness was about the same. It's got all this accessory crap tied to the, the positive cable that runs to the starter. It's got all this wiring. Some of it's original because it's coming through here, and it's taped up right there. So there's a splice. I can see the little splice tube right there. But then there's like random crap like this. Like here's a wire that runs up, the black one here, runs all the way through and ends up going through that homemade hole right there in the firewall. So I'm wondering if that's to the radio or something. I'm not sure. Excuse me, guys. Another interesting thing that I found, and I know this is not original, maybe it is. I'm sorry, I gotta get that out of the way. If I zoom in here, look right there. So there is the motor mount. Right there is a wire connected to it. Then it goes down, loops back up, and connects right there. Okay, right. Now you ready for this? Okay, it goes all the way, loops back up, and mounts right there to the inner fender on the body. There is no other wires. You can see it right there. See? Right there. There's the wire, loops up, mounts there, loops up, mounts there. So I'm wondering if that was just like an extra ground or something when they were adding the radio or accessories or what have you. I don't know. Just more mysteries to solve. I guess one more thing I should show you guys before we close this video out, because we're just about done with part one here. Nice, simple, easy steps. I still got to remedy that. Yep. Anyway, right here, these switches. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they do anything, but they're the types that you pull out. I don't want to do it because I don't want to risk pulling anything off in case that screws something up. But yeah, it's got lights on them and everything. I don't know where they mounted. Ah, it was right here. Okay. Well, that also doesn't make much sense. But yeah, just more mysteries. I mean, this is a 43-year-old truck now. It's got rust and dust and crust and all that good stuff. So we're going to do our due diligence, our duty, and we're going to... it's not going to be like a tier 3 restoration where I take it down to the frame. No, that'd be so much work it just wouldn't be worth it for me. You know, it's a Trekker, it's worth restoring, but I've already done it once, and this is a completely different design of truck. It's not just a cab, you know, you got to consider that whole thing is attached to the back. So I'm going to do a really good restoration job for cheap on this thing, because I know what I need to do. You know, I'm one of those few people that got a Toyota pickup in pieces, and I actually had to build an original 1980 Toyota pickup. I restored it, I preserved it, and I built it all at the same time. This is just the opposite. I got to take it apart to restore it. But now that I know the inner workings of these things, it's going to be pretty simple. Nickels and dimes. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content. And Yamasaki out. We'll see y'all later.